This is John Colo with growingyourgreens.com. Today we're in the front of my front yard garden, so I basically took out my lawn and put a front yard garden, and today's episode is about greens. So as you know, my show is called Growing Your Greens, and there's definitely a reason for that, because I believe greens, the greens are the new buzzword. Whether you're trying to shop for green products, the earth is, besides blue, green is one of the dominant colors of the earth, and we should all be growing and eating lots of greens because they're really good for us. So in today's show, we're just going to go over some of those greens and why greens are so good for us. So come into my front yard garden and let me show you what's growing on. So we're sitting in my front raised bed underneath my fig tree, and as you can see, I have many different varieties of lettuce here growing. I have green romaine, some red romaine, some curly leaf lettuce, some deer tongue lettuce. Now lettuce is all green, and it's definitely important to eat our greens. Even the USDA tells us to eat 3 servings of greens a week, and just 3 servings a week. But that should be included in our 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. I'd probably encourage everybody to eat definitely some greens every single day. And we all know greens are really good for us. Even Popeye, ate spinach out of the can in the cartoons that I used to watch when I was a kid. And even our mom told us to eat your greens, Joey, or Johnny. Actually, in my case, it was Johnny. And, I didn't often eat my greens. I just didn't like them. I mean, for me, when I was a kid being raised, spinach came out of a can, not out of a field. I had green beans that were previously frozen out of a can we would reheat. As a child, we ate salad sometimes, but really not that much. All our greens are mostly processed. So I want to encourage people to grow their own greens, grow their own fresh greens, pick them and then eat them as soon as possible. So right here, the lettuce, I constantly let the lettuce grow and pick a few leaves off each plant, let them continue to grow and keep picking them. And I have salads for days and days and days. And when they're going to bolt, generally I'll harvest the rest and then I'll use them for juicing. So let's check out some other greens that I'm growing and learn more about why greens are so good for us. So now I'm standing on the sidewalk outside my front raised bed. This faces the sidewalk, and for those of you who think all my stuff gets stolen, actually, no, I don't see anything getting stolen or getting eaten by people other than the bugs or, eating some of my plants. But most people aren't going to pick purslane and eat it, and if they are, they could have some. But anyways, aside from that, let's get back to the point of today's show, which is greens and why they're so beneficial. Now we're going to talk about some of the nutrition or nutrients contained in the greens and why they're so beneficial for us. So there's things like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, phytonutrients, phytochemicals, and antioxidants, all contained within the greens. And actually, per ounce, greens have some of the highest levels of amino acids. And you may know that amino acids are the building blocks for protein. So yes, the greens do contain, by default, protein because they contain the amino acids. After all, where does the cow that simply eats grass all day build all that muscle and fat so that we could, eat cows and get all the protein from cows? Well, the cows are getting it from the grass or from greens, which are the big color on the planet and make up all the plant matter, mostly all greens. So they have lots of amino acids, and they're really, really definitely good for us to eat. We're going to talk about some of the plants in this raised bed here. Here's the bok choy I'm growing, and then also we have some purslane and some malabar spinach, basically vining up the spiral. These are basically can be grown hot or cool weather. I like to grow the bok choy usually when it's getting cooler, not in the middle of summer. So it's kind of like near the end of the summer. We're going to do another planting too, fall/winter bok choy. They grow really well that time here in Northern California. The purslane, definitely rich in omega fatty acids. That's why a lot of people grow it. It is commonly known as a weed. Many farmers think it is a weed, and they'll pull it and just throw it out by the masses. You could definitely juice it, cut it up, put little bits in salads. Really good to eat. Malabar spinach here, which is growing up this spire, is a kind of a succulent vegetable. It's kind of like a purslane in its texture, and it's definitely really delicious. It's basically a tropical, so I could grow it here in the summertime only, but it really loves places like Florida and Hawaii where you could probably grow it, and I've seen huge vines and huge leaves growing year-round. So that's definitely a good one. If you live in South Florida, for example, you should grow some Malabar spinach, most definitely. And they have 2 varieties. Right here we have the purple variety, and then down here growing, it's not vining up as quickly, we have the green variety. right here. So once again, green variety malabar spinach and the purple variety. The purple is done a lot better. And the purple, these are the purple variety flowers, and the seeds will turn into the seeds there. They're definitely really good. Another thing that greens have, besides all the nutrients I mentioned, is chlorophyll. All greens contain chlorophyll. After all, chlorophyll is how the plants harness the sun's energy. So let's go to another green and we'll talk more about chlorophyll next. Now we're going to talk about chlorophyll. I'm sitting next to my cruciferous bed here, so I have things like kohlrabi, dino kale, and Georgia collard, some of my favorite collard greens right here. And all these leaves, especially the dino kale, I mean, this is actually called black kale or Tuscan kale sometimes. And actually, because it's so black or rich in chlorophyll, it's not really black, but it's just really dark green, has lots of chlorophyll. So I encourage everybody to eat green foods that are really super dark as possible for eating and getting as much chlorophyll in you as you can. As you know, chlorophyll is what makes the plant green. It's what enables a plant to take the sun's energy and convert that into energy for the plant. So chlorophyll is very easily assimilated in our bloodstream. It helps deliver oxygen and nutrients to our bloodstream, so it's good for an instant natural pick-me-up. It has been shown to be anti-carcinogenic. It's definitely good for detoxifying. It can help alkalinize you, which could basically combat stress. So eat your greens to combat stress. You have a high stressful job, eat your greens. But actually even better than eating your greens, because most people don't chew them enough, and greens contain cellulose, and we can't, as humans, can't digest cellulose. We need to juice them and liberate the nutrients and the chlorophyll and other nutrients from that cellulose. So that's where juicers come in. You can just put a leaf through a juicer. It'll basically give you two piles. It'll separate the fiber and the juice. And we want to drink the juice, and you could use the fiber. It's great compost, or feed it to your pets. Real good stuff, chlorophyll. So drink some chlorophyll for me today. You'll be green too. So besides greens' direct antioxidant capability, greens may also reduce inflammation. So if you have arthritis, you might want to eat more greens and eat a lot more of them to help. Let's see, we're sitting over my herb bed right here, and while all the herbs are green for sure, and they'll give you the benefits of greens, they also have some aromatics. And I'm sitting here smelling, I think it's the oregano, and just smells really nice here in this bed. But I also do eat some of my herbs as greens. So some of the lighter, more mild greens, such as the cilantro and parsley, I'll just basically pick and eat a salad of just parsley with a dressing on top, and it's really delicious. Or that'll be the main component of, a meal that I make. Tabbouleh has a lot of parsley in it, for example. Or I'll use the Vietnamese coriander, and I've been using that as a salad green, and it grows literally like a weed, and I have so much of it I just can't pick it fast enough and use it. But all the greens are definitely good, and in most cases I recommend adding a few pinches of the different herbs to a salad and not necessarily making a whole salad out of any one. They can be really strong in the sense of, basils. People make basically pesto out of basil, and that's basically all basil. So that's a green part of your meal right there. So let's move on and check out another cool leafy green I have growing here in the summertime. So here's another green that I really love, and I'm really happy this was a volunteer. I guess it didn't know that this is my alternative Solanense bed, which means I'm growing lychee tomatoes, pepino melons, ground cherries, and Cape gooseberries. And it just decided to come up, and I left it because, it's so beautiful, and they're actually another delicious leafy green. This is actually called mallow, and you can see the beautiful flowers here. They're nice purple flowers. So yesterday I actually plucked off the majority of the flowers and was eating the flowers, because besides greens making green, they make flowers which are also really delicious. They have pollen, which is really good, and the deep rich colors in the flowers have a lot of antioxidants. So besides the flowers, the leaves also have a lot of vitamins in them. Some of the vitamins that are in the leaves are beta carotene, vitamin K, vitamin C, folic acid, and iron. So folic acid or folate is really important, and guess where they get that from? Folate or foliage. So foliage, that's a green. Really good to get your folic acid, and folic acid is definitely needed to basically make use of the B12 in our bodies. So once again, grow some mallow. It's really definitely good stuff. Now they would call this more of a famine food than like a leafy green. It does kind of, it has a nice mild, I would say mild taste. Some people might not like it. It's kind of a dry flavor. So if you mix it up in a dressing or mix a couple leaves in with your salad, I haven't yet done a whole salad of mallow yet, but I'll just come around and pick off leaves through the day and eat them. One of the things that affects the mallow though is the rust. So you can see some of this, they'll get like yellow spots on the leaves, but you know what? I'll just pick them off and discard the leaves. So next, let's go to the greenhouse and see what other leafy greens I'm growing in the greenhouse. And keep in mind, this is summertime when I focus on growing other things besides leaves. I do have some leaves as a staple in my diet and have a couple places with leaves, but in the wintertime you can come back and mostly all my raised beds will just be full of leafy green vegetables because that's what really grows well in the wintertime, and that's when I'm going to get a lot of leaves in. And I'm sure going to have another episode on greens in the wintertime. So with all the nutrients in green foods, they are basically body's natural healers and rebuilders of the cells. And here in my greenhouse, I have a couple greens growing. Here's some upland cress growing. That stuff's really spicy. We have some arugula here growing in a small flat. Have some edible garland chrysanthemums over there. And then here's another interesting leafy green. People might think this isn't a leafy green, but I do. The tips here, you could harvest the tips off these guys. This is actually chayote squash vine. I do have another episode on chayote squash. And I just harvest the tips and eat them as greens just in my salad, raw. You could get the little seeds. Actually, at most Mexican markets, it's the fruit actually ends up sprouting and opening up. And it is the seed. In a tropical climate, this will make actually chayote fruits, like in Hawaii or Florida. But here in California, this only grows during the summer, and I'll be able to harvest the tips off them. So the abundance of phytonutrients in foods help the body cells repair and rebuild themselves. Because the old adage, you are what you eat, is really true, and we want to be as healthy as we can. We want to remember to eat our greens, like our mama said, every day. So I encourage everybody to eat one serving of greens a day, and you want to eat a variety of greens. So eat, kale one day, eat lettuce one day, eat malabar spinach one day, eat arugula one day, eat, parsley another day. Just keep mixing it up, keep getting a variety so you get all the different nutrients in each of those leafy greens. Leafy greens are so beneficial that places like the Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida actually helped to heal people with diseases like cancer and other things get better by feeding them a diet rich in greens, and especially the baby greens like the wheatgrass, the sprouts, sunflower greens, and just other greens. And green juices are really beneficial, and that's what they use there as well. So once again, this is John Collard coming from my warm greenhouse here with growingyourgreens.com, and keep on eating your greens. They're good for you.